Hello, my wonderful, wonderful people, and Happy New Year! Now, this vlog is coming slightly delayed, but that's simply because after the trip, I needed a break. I'm going to tell you all about everything that went wrong on this trip after the footage, so you don't have to listen to it now. If you want to hear that, just watch the whole thing and then you will hear about everything that can go wrong in a trip, or a lot of things that can go wrong in a trip. Now, Malta was wonderful. It is a very cultural island. You can see a lot of things. And if you're watching the footage and you are thinking, I feel like I have seen that before, you might have, because Malta was one of the filming points for Game of Thrones, which I did not know beforehand. So, or at least not really. When I looked into the guide for Malta, of course, I saw a few things, but I didn't really know this. But yeah, if you see anything where you go, oh, this reminds me of, yeah, it might be because they filmed there. Sadly, some of the more famous points would have been Medina, but on that day I got sick, so there's no Medina footage for you. You only will see Valletta and the city I stayed in, which is very close to Valletta. So yeah, but it was nice, it was sunny, it was not as grey as Hamburg, and I was really happy being in the sun and being near the ocean. So I'm going to leave you now with the footage, and afterwards I'm going to tell you about all the things that went wrong and my deep, deep hatred now for Lufthansa. as you were hopefully able to see, Malta is really pretty. It is interesting if you want to do if you want to see some cultural sites. I don't think it's an island where you have to spend a lot of time, and it's not really an island to go when you want to lay at a beach. My sister, who's a diver, told me that it's perfect for diving. So if you're into that, then Malta is definitely something you should put on your... I know if you're a diver, you have a very long list of places you want to go and where you want to go diving. But yeah, if you're a diver, then you really should go to Malta. But now, after all of this, all of the nice things, I had a wonderful time going into the new year. Nothing like that. That's not the problem. The problem started before we even got to Malta. So let's start with all the troubles that we had going to Malta. So the first thing was that we were flying from Berlin. Berlin is, most Germans know this, it's a very new airport. It was very, very, very expensive, and it's very shitty. Now, we had to go to the self-check-in points because there was no sign for us where we could have gone otherwise. We would have preferred to go to a human person, but apparently there's only self-check-in. This thing did not want to read our passports, so we had to fiddle with that to just get the what is it called, the baggage, the things you put on your baggage, and our boarding passes. So that was a good start. And then we went and wanted to drop off our luggage. Now we had the little thingies, the barcodes, and there was of course a self-drop off point, and that didn't work. So it didn't read the thing on the baggage sheet. So then they sent us to humans, which worked. So yeah, the baggage went off, and we were hopeful that everything would be fine. So we went inside the airport to get our flight from Berlin to Zurich, from where we would have taken Malta Air to Malta. Well, the flight from Berlin to Zurich was late. At first it was 15 minutes, then it was 30 minutes, and in the end we flew when we should have arrived. So yeah, we did not make the next flight to Malta. We had to spend the night in Zurich in one of the hotels. Of course, the company paid for it. We are talking about Swiss Air, which is part of Lufthansa. My big friend Lufthansa, who also almost left me in Frankfurt when I came from Seoul, so I had to spend the night in Frankfurt at that time. So yeah, we would have had enough time to get to our connecting flight, but because the first flight was so freaking late that we did not make that, we had to spend a night in Zurich. Before we did that, we of course had to go to a counter and tell the lady, hey, we didn't make our connecting flight. It was not your fault, but the company's fault. Can you please rebook us so we can fly tomorrow? Which she did. A good thing I looked up flights. She wanted to send us to Frankfurt and then to Malta. And I had looked up that there was a flight from Zurich to Malta. So we did not have another transfer flight. She would have gotten us another transfer flight. Very nice, very, very good. Yeah, that's what we wanted. And the two flights arrived almost at the same time. So we didn't even lose any time waking up later and just getting on one plane instead of two. Okay, that's still fine. Also, my sister reminded her that our baggage has to come with us. So she had to rebook our baggage, and we, of course, had to take pictures of our baggage, like the thingies, because there was nothing coming out of the thing that told us that the baggage was inside. So yeah, we had pictures of the barcode and the numbers so they could find them. And she rebooked the baggage as well so that we could have our luggage once we're in Malta. Now, then the flight to Malta was a normal flight, nothing happened, and I got my backpack, and the luggage belt ran empty, and we were missing one backpack. My sister's backpack didn't arrive, so her luggage was lost. So we went to the baggage claim thing. We told the lady, my sister did everything she had to do, like give all the information, tell her that it didn't arrive, and yeah, so off we went to get our car. Which we didn't get because we were a day late and they rebook cars. So you simply lose your car and the money you spent already on it. So for the next few days, we did not have a rental car. We had to do everything via Uber, or in this case, mostly Bolt, which is similar. But yeah, we had paid for a car. We wanted a car. And they told us they would only wait for like 6 hours if you tell them, and afterwards they will give it to someone else. So yeah, car gone, that money gone, off to the hotel. The hotel was great. It was the way we wanted, it was the room we wanted, it was no problem that we were a day late or a few hours, a day late. No trouble here. No complaining. We did have our hotel. The first good thing. Perfect. Now waiting for the luggage, which never came. So during our whole time in Malta, her baggage never got to us, which was wonderful. At least she could take some of my clothes, and we went shopping, and we even had to buy, but that we had to buy anyways, we had to buy something like fancy, because something good also happened. We went for a very fancy New Year's Eve, and we had to get something to dress up, because even I had my luggage, but I did not have something fancy enough for what we were planning. So yeah, that was fun. We went shopping. Now, on the 1st of January, we went to Valletta and everything was fine. And on the 2nd January, I got sick. I had a stomach bug. Chances are quite high that it was from my first and only oyster I will ever eat. I told you, we did something fancy during our New Year's Eve. And yeah, there were oysters. And I think I don't like oysters. I was almost not able to swallow that thing, and I don't get it. I really don't. If anyone in the comments wants to explain to me what's good about oysters, you may. In my case, it tasted like drinking seawater and eating something very, I don't know, slimy. I don't get it. It was interesting and I don't mind having done it. But chances are very high that that was the reason why I was sick. Although it took 1 day, so I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, so the day we wanted to visit Medina, I got so sick that I could not leave the hotel room because I would have been a biohazard. So yeah, I decided to stay in and I slept the whole day and that was it. Nothing happened, I just slept the whole day. Which was my fault. This is nothing, so this is just something that can happen, and I'm not going to put it on anything else, but with everything else that happened, that was just like the cherry on top. Now, on our flight back, I almost forgot. I already told something, and now I have to re-edit it, because I remembered that something went wrong on our flight back. Something that has never happened to me before. Okay, I've never lost luggage, and I never had I had a flight delayed so much that I had to sleep somewhere. But now, as I said, Swiss Air is part of Lufthansa, and now there's another point why I no longer am a big fan of Lufthansa. So when our first flight was delayed and we did not make the flight to Malta, apparently even though we had to rebook and we flew the next day after we had slept the night in Zurich, Swiss Air told Malta Air that I was a no-show and that I don't need my flight back. So when we arrived at the airport and we wanted our boarding passes and we wanted to check in for our flight from Malta back to Berlin, I no longer had a seat. I was no longer booked for this flight because Swiss Air told Malta Air that I was a no-show and that I was not on Malta and I did not need my flight back. And here I was standing in Malta and thinking, great, now I will never leave this island again. But of course, I'm now back home, so I did get back home. And the nice person in Malta really, really made sure that it happened. So I had to wait until the boarding or the check-in was done. So it was like 45 minutes before the flight. That's when check-in is done and you no longer can check in. Then he checked if there was a seat available, which there was. So we had to run to the check-in counter, get my boarding pass for this one seat that was still available in the whole flight. We then went to the bulky baggage claim because there you can give in your suitcase and it goes right through the scanner and they just go scanning, okay, everything's good, you can go in. So we did that, and then I had to run through the security to get to the line that already formed because boarding was already starting. So yeah, I did make it, and at the check-in they let me go through the priority lane because I was running upstairs, and the lady there was like, "Are you late?" And I'm like, "Yes." And she was like, "Come through." So they were really nice. The people at Malta Airport were wonderful and were really helpful. But yeah, I almost didn't make it back. But in the end I did, and so did my luggage. But we were still missing my sister's luggage. So while I was waiting at the luggage carousel, she went to the counter, to the lost and found baggage counter in Berlin, and asked again there, what about her luggage? And these people were really, 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 really wonderful. Really wonderful. But to remind you, these are not people working for like Lufthansa and Co. These are people working for the airport. Just a tiny reminder. So these people were so great that they were able to find her luggage, and they found out that the person in Zurich who rebooked our flight and rebooked our luggage misspelled her name. Yeah, her luggage never arrived because it was the wrong name. They changed like a letter, like, you know, when two letters are right next to each other. So she has an N somewhere in her name, and they changed that to an M. Yeah, and that's why her luggage never arrived, and why it never came after, even though she did the luggage claim, they never sent it to her. Also, the person in Malta might not have quite understood about the luggage, because our backpacks are a bit not complicated, but you have the backpack, the big one, you might have seen my orange one, and then we have like this sack around it, so you can just zip it up and all of the things don't tangle around. So that's a bit complicated because you have a big gray sack and inside it is the big backpack. But yeah. So yeah, they found it, but until right now, it's still not back because Zurich is not capable of sending the backpack back. I don't know. We found the backpack, so it's not lost. If there's nothing else, I don't know. Maybe we have to fly to Zurich and just wrangle it off them. I have no clue. But yeah, I can tell you that's the most things that ever went wrong while traveling for me. I traveled through Vietnam with tiny little airplanes in tiny little airports, and nothing went wrong. I did bus tours, and yeah. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. And should you ever want to come and travel in Europe, be careful about Lufthansa and their like partner companies, because they don't give a shit. It is what it is, because I know that my sister went back to the airport and tried to ask at the Lufthansa counter, and they really didn't give a flying fuck about her or her luggage. So yeah, she then went back to the lost and found thing and met the same people, and they helped again. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed this little odyssey that I just took you on. But apart from that, Malta is wonderful, and if you're interested in just doing a little bit of sightseeing and maybe doing a dive, going for a dive, if you're a diver, if you want to try it, there's probably even some places where you can go snorkeling. Then Malta is the perfect city. If you want to go on a beach trip, I don't think so. But yeah, other than that, next week there will be another break, and then I will see you probably from New Zealand. So yeah, until then, stay healthy. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I'm going to leave you now with a heartfelt bye.